Hi everybody, I'm Daniel McKinnon. Thanks for joining me here today from the headquarters of App Factory here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. I'm here to talk to you today about voice first development, a bit of an overview as to the state of play, where are we at, where are we going, and also a little bit of a deeper dive into the Amazon Alexa world. So why are we here to talk about voice? What's interesting about it? Well, I've spent my entire professional career translating from non-technical people with great ideas to developers who are really great at bringing those ideas into reality. And what's really exciting about this, we spend so much time trying to build intuitive systems that are easy for people to navigate. Where should we put the menus? How will they get through all this? Will it be intuitive enough for them to understand? With voice, it's a giant leap because we can say, you talk to our software however you want to talk to your software, however you talk to your friend sitting next to you at the table, and we can interpret that and do what you need to be done. So we're taking out that whole step of anyone having to learn how to use a piece of software, which is really, really, really exciting. And what that does is it makes it frictionless. So it gets the technology out of the way. You don't have to worry about menus or anything like that. Just get that technology out of the way. A great example of frictionless is if I'm in my kitchen, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm buttering a piece of bread for lunch, and I'm thinking about something else. I notice that I've run out of butter. There's no way I'm ever going to stop what I'm doing, go and get a pen and paper and write butter on the shopping list. But nowadays I just go, Alexa, add butter to the shopping list. And then when I'm at the shopping center, or if my wife is, we've got the same shopping list on our Alexa app, and we can just go through that. We didn't have to stop doing. That might be, you might say, oh, that's a pretty trivial, unnecessary example, but it's a great example of that frictionless. And if you could extrapolate that out to all sorts of things we could use that for, it becomes really, really, really interesting. It's also a really heads up, hands-free technology. That's, again, getting the technology out of the way. I'm well known as the mobile developer who hates people staring into their screens like this. So that's really exciting me in terms of that all of a sudden people are lifting their heads up, they're talking. It's not just about me and my screen anymore, it's involving people around the place, and it's really interesting. And it's a really intuitive way of communicating. I mean, my daughter at the moment is saving up her pocket money for a Wi-Fi light bulb because she wants to say, Alexa, turn on the lights in my room. Actually, she wants to say, Alexa, make the lights pink in my room. So you can see how that's really intuitive and doesn't involve me giving her a phone, which I don't really like doing that much. So will it be big? Well, the short answer is it already is really big. So voice first software development has been going on for about 2 years now. It's really, really starting to ramp up over the last quarter or two. Some of these stats are pretty amazing. If we look at the fact that smart speakers are in 20% of households in the US now, that's according to VoiceBot.ai via Gartner. And predicted to head up to 75% by 2020. So even now at 20%, you're talking 40 to 50 million speakers in houses in the US. Also, the Google Assistant, which is the software that drives the Google Home, and Alexa are now moving into your car, into both the Alexa and Android Car Auto systems, into your TVs and audios, so you'll be able to control your channels, volumes, TVs, everything with voice, and the set-top boxes that go along with that. One of the really interesting indicators that this is going to be big is that we know App Factory's been building mobile apps since the App Store opened. So no one's been doing it for any longer than we have been doing. So we were there when the App Stores were launching mobile. The industry interest in mobile apps in the App Store was far less back then than it is now in terms of the audio and the voice first skills. So people are jumping on board much, much, much quicker, and that's always an indicator. Already I can use Alexa to check the balance of my bank accounts and transfer money. So if the banks are on it, and everyone's moving on it pretty quickly. In terms of all the things we've got going on, we've got Alexa, the Google Assistant, Cortana, which is Microsoft, and Siri, obviously Apple, are all the voice assistants, the software sides of things that are powering a lot of different hardware or smart speaker devices. So the Amazon one is the Echo range, obviously the Google Home, the Apple HomePod. I mean, Apple don't seem to be putting so much effort into it at the moment. They've got about a 4% market share, and And judging by the Apple event that was on a couple of weeks ago, they just devoted about 10 minutes at the end to it. So never write them off because they're Apple, but they seem to be a long way behind it at the moment. Plus, if we even ignore the smart speaker market, we've got voice recognition on all these things, and we've been using it for ages. So in terms of the voice powering, it's on almost every device that people have got in their pockets. Another thing is that while all these stats up here, they're pretty Western specific. But if you go and look at China, so you've got manufacturers like Baidu, Xiaomi, Alibaba, who are building software and again, the voice assistants for any number of different hardware speakers out there. And they're already at over 100 million users. So it's all over the world that this is taking off. So voice, will it be big? Yes. So I want to take you through some of the different roles involved in building this technology and getting it up and running. It's not just about developers, it's about putting that team together. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an overview as to what type of things we can build and what type of people you need in your team in order to help. From here, I am going to focus a little bit in on the Amazon world. In terms of App Factory and where we've come from, we're heavily invested in the Amazon and AWS environments. So the majority of our development work at this stage has been done in Amazon and Alexa, but that doesn't discount Google Home. We're certainly moving in the direction of that as well. So in the Amazon world, there's a few different types of skills. And to quickly describe, a skill is anything that you might want to put out there to provide people to do things. So there's a number of different skill types. I'll run through them very quickly. The smart home skill, that's anything that's attached to a hardware device. That might be a Wi-Fi light bulb, a motion sensor, a Sonos speaker, anything like that. So developers who have hardware devices can build skills to run those. Alexa, turn the lights on, Alexa, open the garage door. Anything that's interacting with the device is a smart home skill. And at the moment, they're forming the majority of skills available in the store, mainly because they're so useful in terms of what we're doing. Custom skills, I'm going to concentrate on as we move through, so I'll come back to those. Flash briefings are really cool. They're really a regular audio update for any topic that you want to talk about. And the cool thing about them is you probably don't need a developer to put them together. You can set it up just using the console in the Amazon portal, and from there you hook in your audio link and you're away. So really, really cool. And then people will configure it and they'll say, what do I want to know about in the morning when I say, Alexa, give me my flash briefing? Well, I might want to learn about what the surf is like, and I might want to hear from the New York Times about what crazy stuff's going on in America at the moment. Or I might want to pick and choose the things that I want to hear about every morning. So if you can become one of those things that people want to hear about, it's going to be really, really cool. Some of the other skill types is video. That's really about controlling your audio-visual products, changing channels, and they're starting to build, as I said, they're moving into your TVs and your set-top boxes, so that's really where that comes in. And they also have specific list skills, similar to my shopping list skill that we ran through before. So as a developer in us, or as someone who wants to build a product, what type of things can you do? And at the moment, you can either build standalone custom skills, which are like putting an app in the App Store that sort of is its own little beast. But the more interesting part that we are really working with is adding the voice interface to any solution that exists today or may exist in the future. So enabling, just instead of someone having to come in and use their website and click through or do whatever they need to do, we're going to plug a voice interface on that to make those systems really easy to use. And I think that just gives us scale and scope, the ability to improve all those things that are out there at the moment. So that's really, really, really cool. So this chart demonstrates the top 100 rated Alexa skills based on category. And I just put up this to illustrate that talking about smart home skills obviously form up the majority of these top 100 rated skills. But I think that's a reflection of the use and the volume of them, more than the fact that these other things are not as highly rated. It's a little bit more fractured at this early stage. If you're talking about the early stage, at the moment we've got about 50,000 Alexa skills in the Alexa store. That's nothing, considering there's 367 gajillion apps in the mobile app store. So So while we might not be at ground zero, we're not too far past. We're actually probably better than ground zero because everyone's starting to understand how we use these things and how they work. So if you want to start building voice-enabled software, what skills do you need to build skills? So who do you need on your team? And the really key parts that you need to do is there's a traditional role, a traditional developer role, and there's also a brand new role that people are calling a number of different things, whether it be a conversation designer, voice user experience. There's a whole bunch of other terms that people are throwing around on their LinkedIn profiles about what they are. But this is a really, really exciting role, and it's really something that we are loving at the moment. The basic goal of a conversation designer is to extract the relevant pieces of information out of someone so that they can do what that person wants them to do. But also, they need to do it in such a way that the other person doesn't know they're extracting information. They feel like they're just having that conversation. And we do that with an approach called dialogue management. So this is a diagram taken from the developer.amazon.com site. It's to do with their pet match solution that they use as a demo. So the idea is that we're a family, what type of pet should we get that would suit us the best? So there's a few pieces of information we're trying to get out of it. Things like the size of the pet, the type of energy, and the temperament. So we know the pieces of information we want to get. How are we going to get that information out? And also, how are we going to do it without making people repeat themselves? So if I say, if I program Alexa to say, what type of pet do you want? And you say, I want a large dog. We then don't want them to ask, what size dog do you want? Because they've already given us that piece of information. So the skill is in extracting the fact that they've already told us what they want, and then we can go around and around this dialogue management loop until we figure out the energy and the temperament and what we want to do. Also, they might say, what pet do you want? And they say, I want a guard dog. And then we're not going to say, what sort of temperament do you want your dog to have? Because they're not going to say, I want a cuddly, friendly, happy poodle. So we've got that piece of information out, and we need to keep going around this loop in a way that gets the information that we need in order to match a pet to a family. And I'll touch on this a little bit in the next slide as well. So this is a really new role in terms of the skills that we need in order to do that. There's also a fairly traditional developer role behind here, because as I said, one of the things we're looking to do is build user voice interfaces onto existing software. So that means that we can still talk in the same way, build the same sort of software that we did. We really are just plugging that other interface on. So you'll still need your developer to build all the smarts and logics and backend that we need to do. So a couple of different people on your team there. This is a really nerdy bit, but stick with me. I'll keep it not too nerdy if I can. So what we're looking to do is, what is the skill? As I mentioned, the skill is providing your users the opportunity to do something that they need to do. Your skill will have one or more intents. An intent is a breakdown of that. So let's take this example. So I'm going to develop a skill. It's going to be called pub orders. I don't want to walk down to the pub that's 5 minutes down the road from me and stand in a queue for hours. So I'm going to order my drink before I get down there. So my skill is, Alexa, order me a drambuie at the Storybridge Hotel for 7 p.m. So let's break that down. With my skill, you'd first have to open your skill. It's called an invocation. So I would say, open pub orders. It would then say, what do you want to do? And I would say, Alexa, order me a drambuie at the Storybridge Hotel for 7 p.m. Or I might say, at 7 p.m, I want a drambuie from the Storybridge Hotel. Or I might say any number of different ways. You'll say it 100% different to the way I say it, no doubt. So what we have is an intent. Each intent has one or more utterances. An utterance is a different way of asking for what you need. So generally you'll have a number of different utterances with any intent, because you need to cater for the different ways that people ask. Also, you see I've got our curly bracket friends in here, and they are our slots, because I might not say, Alexa, order me a drambuie at the Storybridge Hotel for 7 p.m. I might say, Alexa, order me a glass of wine at the Fred's pub for 6 p.m. So these are the pieces of information we talked about before with the PetMatch API that we want to get out of the user in order to know what they want to do. So our slots are the drink. We might have a custom list slot of drinks that we can provide, a location. If my pub orders skill, I'm currently rolling it out and it's only at 10 pubs in the city, then I might just have those 10 pubs in there because I don't want people to just be able to say anything. So the idea is that we extract this information in a way that is good for the customer and in order to get the key piece of information that we need. And one thing that's really cool that Amazon provide is an intent history. And what that demonstrates to you is how people are interacting with your skill. How people, what happened when they said something and Alexa said, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Or what happened when they got the wrong way, or what happened when they got the right way. So you can go through what people are saying and learn from it and adjust your utterances and adjust your intents and go through from that way, which is really, really, really key. So you'll have one or more intents. Your other intent might be something like a bar tab intent. And I can say, Alexa, what's my bar tab balance at the moment? But you don't want, well, one thing is, how does the Alexa skill know who I am and what my bar tab balance is? And how do we make sure that you don't tell someone who's not authorized what my bar tab balance is or let them use it? This is a really key thing that we can do, especially when we talk about putting user interfaces, putting voice interfaces rather, on existing software. We need to link the account. If I've got a list of users in my pub order account that they've signed up, they've put in their credit card details, they've done all that stuff, I need to link their pub orders account to their Amazon account. And then each time they interact with their Alexa, Amazon sends me their authorization that says we know who they are, you can match it to a user in your system. As a developer, there's heaps of resources out here. If you're not a developer, your developer will know how to do this. Link your accounts. Once you link your accounts, you open up a much richer set of features that you can provide to anybody. As in any software development or any project really, you want to look at what you can reuse that's already out there, or what is there that's going to help you build what you need to do. There's a number of third-party and what we call cross-platform tools out there that are starting up and helping you build it. If we're talking about our previous pub orders one, we had one intent and a few utterances. But in any real-world skill, we will have many, many, many more, and probably hundreds if not thousands of utterances. So managing those, seeing how they're behaving, updating them as required, is going to get pretty difficult pretty quickly. And there's a number of tools up there that are used as a drag and drop conversation design interface. Again, they're in early stages. I've put a link here. If you can't see the link, you can contact us through the channels we'll put out at the end. That's a link of the ones that Amazon are recommending. So it's really worth looking at them. But as I said, just bear in mind that it's early days, and you want to make sure you're getting on the right train. So they might be worth considering for complex conversation experiences. But really anything that you're going to build that you're going to get over sort of 20, 30 intents, it's going to be pretty necessary. One of the advantages a lot of them are working towards now, outputting those conversations to both Alexa and Google Home platforms. So that is going to be really beneficial. As that skill gets better and those work better, it's going to be great. So definitely look into some of them. We've investigated ones like Pullstring and Storyline, and they're looking really good, but there's lots out there, so have a look through. Key point, can we make money from voice first development as a developer or as someone who wants to put a project together? And there's a number of different ways, and again, close resemblance to the mobile app world and what we're doing there. So number one, if you're a developer, you can get a paying client. If you've got an idea, you can get a developer and give them some money. Developers love getting paid to do stuff. So that's your traditional angle. Or you can look at what's called in-skill purchasing. And if you've ever had an experience in the mobile app world, you'll know that in-app purchasing is extremely popular, especially in games and any ways where people will be involved in it, and they'll say, do you want to purchase this? Yes, I do. Bang. Again, Amazon will take 30% of your fees, but in return, they're providing some features that allow me to say, would you like to purchase that? And I say yes, and then instantaneously that money comes through. So there's a lot of advantages from having that in there. Again though, all the same difficulties around convincing people to part with their cold hard cash, and probably even a little bit more difficult in an audio only world. but definitely something worth looking into. For developers, there's a program called Amazon Developer Rewards, which is a little bit mysterious and black box, but still pretty cool in that if your skill is published up to the store and you start to get a lot of engagement, a lot of people using it, spending a lot of time in it, a bunch of metrics that we don't really know exactly what Amazon are looking at, but randomly they'll send you an email that says we're going to start sending you some money. Don't know how much money, but based on some of the case studies out there, it is a viable way of getting some money, if just not a predictable one. Also with your Alexa skills, if you're selling physical goods or actual services, then you can use Amazon Pay. Again, they're going to take their pound of flesh out of you with 2.9% plus a 30-cent transaction fee. But in terms of being able to provide, to sell goods and provide that, then this is again a really good way to make money. So it is possible to make the money. If you've got experience in the mobile app world, there's a lot of parallels between the commercial requirements for those ones. So that's about where we are. Feel free, leave comments, ask questions, get in touch with me or App Factory on these socials. We're really excited about voice first development. We're pushing as hard as we can in this area, and we love talking to people who are of a similar mindset. So get in touch and we'll catch you soon. I'm going to take these jeans off, put on my board shorts, and I'm going for a surf. See you later.